Welcome to this week's episode of Success and Women, the show about women helping women. I'm Linda.
I'm Andrea.
You know, she's back another week in a row, and this is for good. So, this week we've decided that one of the things that we know stop a lot of ladies from success is their fear. Their fear of the word no, their fear for many things. And while we were talking about this before the show started, we were thinking about some of the people that we've heard about that have had to take the word no a lot. And some of these people, and I'm thinking of one in particular, Andrea, that you mentioned, which was Simon Cowell. How many times you were telling me that he went bankrupt, which meant he had to take a lot of rejection and get to hear a lot of no's.
Yeah, I remember him talking about it one time, and that he even had to move back into his mother's house, and he was so embarrassed. But you know, he pulled himself together and found another way to get back into the game. And he's been up and down and up, and now he's like obviously totally up, way up, and he's doing well. But he never stopped trying. He just kept, pushing forward.
I actually like the fact that you said that he never stopped trying. And a lot of times what happens with a lot of people's success, Andrea, it's right there, it's around the corner, but they stop.
Exactly.
They stop before they reach the level of success they're not sure they're going to get to. But even for us, I've told you, and we've mentioned this in the beginning, Andrea, we're going to continue. Whether it's to the level of success that we would like, or it doesn't ever reach that. But we know that we're helping other people.
And you know what? Talking about that, it's and I meant to say it before I got sick, and the episode you had to do alone. But the one episode we did about your image, your body image, and not worrying about what other people think about you and how you look, and who cares? The other person's not even thinking about you that way. And I got a FaceTime shortly after that from a relative, and she had just watched the show, and she was so encouraged by it that she FaceTimed me. She said, I would have never done that before, the way I look. And, her hair wasn't colored and this and that. She says, but you gave me the strength, the courage to do it, and I'm so happy I did it. And that made me so happy that we reached her. Wasn't that wonderful? Yeah, so we have to keep trying. We have to keep pushing.
And actually, it's a good point, because what is success? Success for us is making a difference. And if that one person had that kind of a breakthrough just because of our show, I'm thrilled, and thank you for mentioning that, because you hadn't told me that. And that is exciting, because this is the whole point of it. And you don't want to give up before that round the corner. And
the pasta sauce show was very successful. So many phone calls.
Well, it was so good, and I don't know why everybody isn't watching it and sharing that one with their friends, because oh my goodness, if you make that, you would be such a hit with your families, because it was like really delicious, really.
And I did get a lot of good response,
Yeah, and not that complicated the way you've done it.
No.
I mean, it was nice that Andrea had help in the kitchen and all that.
But I do it mostly by myself.
You usually do.
And you know what? You can do that in steps. I thought about it after. If you wanted to cook the meat, do that frying and all that the night before. And then when you get up in the morning, everything's ready just to throw in the pot. You don't have to do it all in the one day.
Yeah. Now, we were talking about rejection and the word no, and the fear.
But because you said we're going to keep trying, even if we don't reach our goal.
That's
that we do reach people, and we're starting to get some feedback, which is wonderful.
Right. But it all started when I was saying about, you said about we're going to keep trying, and that's what you have to do, is you have to keep trying. And that's why Simon Cowell became as successful as he
Yes.
is today because he never gave up. Just because he got rejected, he heard no's a lot, he never gave up.
That's
And
right.
in life, you can't give up.
And I have another story about that. A famous poker player. He's a Canadian, Daniel Negreno. And, oops, where'd you go?
Yep, sorry.
So he was young and he always wanted to be a poker player. That's what he wanted to do for a living. So he worked in Canada, saved up the money, and went down to Las Vegas and lost his shirt, like within the first couple of rounds. He goes, okay, so he went back home. He worked again. He saved up some more money, went back to Vegas, lost his shirt again. He goes, what am I doing wrong? I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Goes home, does it again, saves the money, goes down, loses his shirt. So he says, okay, something's not right here. I got to figure out what I'm doing wrong. And he did figure it out. I don't know I don't remember what it was. So he saved the money again. He went down and he won. Well, now he's a famous poker player in Las Vegas. He lives there. His mom lives there. He's an incredible story. So, and that's the thing. He never gave up because that was his goal, to be a professional poker player.
And one of the things, Andrea, that you mentioned was he figured it out. Marie Folio, I don't know if a lot of you women have heard, but probably a lot of you have. She's, definitely online. She runs a weekly show herself. And she wrote a book that's called It's All Figure-Outable. Because in life, you can figure it out if you really want. And he knew that there was something he wasn't doing right. He just had to figure out what that combination was in order to break through.
That's right.
And actually become very successful.
Yeah.
And Marie's book talks about the fact that you can figure it out. There is a way, and you might have to think about the process of something. What are you doing now? And you know that's not working.
Yeah.
And start.
Look at the people that have made it or that are successful in that field. Try and figure out, okay, watch them. See what they're doing, how they're doing it. And maybe there's something in there.
Well, one of the things, I think we've mentioned it, Andrea, in another episode, and it was about, I think it was when Ben Franklin invented the light bulb. It took 10,000 tries to find out what didn't work in order to actually have the incandescent light bulb. But the fact is, he didn't give up after 5,000 tries or 7,000 tries. It took 10,000, and he learned all the ways that it didn't work. And then all of a sudden, all of those things that he kept tweaking, all of a sudden, he got what he was trying to do.
Right.
And in life, that happens a lot. It's that you got to keep trying and changing. So you know what's not working. What can you do differently in order to make that happen?
Right.
And you can't let fear stop you. And again, last week we talked about fear and the word, what it means, the acronym, in one definition. It's false evidence appearing real. Yes, it appears real. We know a lot of people have a fear of flying. I always had a fear of drowning because, when we were younger, we actually saw a young girl that we went to school with drown. And I always had a fear of the water, but it didn't stop me from going in the water. It didn't stop me from cruising. It didn't stop me from doing a lot of stuff, but it could have. And it does for a lot of people.
A lot of people, like my daughter, who will not fly. And she missed her sister's wedding in Italy because she could not get on that plane. Now, my other daughter has a fear of flying, but she wanted to go so badly that she pushed herself, and she somehow controlled the fear enough to get in the plane to get there. But the other one couldn't even do that. So she's missing out on a lot.
See, and the problem is that when you have these fears, and it could be fear of bugs, it could be fear of, anything. There's so many things, it's countless things. It doesn't matter.
They have a lot of places too where you can go. Like I heard in Toronto, they have a place, and I wanted to take my daughter there. And you actually go into a plane.
A simulator?
It's like a simulator, and that helps them get over that fear. And if you have like a fear of snakes or animals, there are, like, you could go to the zoo and people will help you maybe handle a snake or
Yes.
handle some, so you can, because that's my only one huge fear are snakes. And even just to see them on television, it scares me, and I don't even know why. I never had an episode with one, but yeah, so but I don't feel that I'm missing out on anything being afraid of a snake, but other things are huge.
Yeah, and they are huge, but for the most part, if you can find the root cause
Yes.
of what made you so fearful. I know I have a fear of water, but it was because we saw the drowning.
Yeah.
And so I know where it came from, but I also knew I had to work through it. I had to go through that. Now, I used to, and I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I used to love flying. I mean, it's exciting for me. And now I'm like your daughter. Well, you've got two daughters, both afraid one will go and one won't. I'm of the one that will go because I want to go places. But I never had a fear until my ex-husband brought up the fact that when we were hydroplaning one time, he said that could have been very dangerous. Well, he didn't need to share that with me because I can't do anything about it. That's out of my control. The rest is in the big guy's hands. And so I would have got through it, no problem, being oblivious to that.
Right.
And I would have still enjoyed flying. Now I don't enjoy flying the same way because I think about things that could happen. And it scares me. But it doesn't scare me to stay home.
Exactly.
Because, and I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I have booked a trip. I'm going to Europe at the end of summer, and I'm going to take a back-to-back cruise again. Doing this on my own. And but the fact is, it would be nice to go with somebody because then sometimes the fear is less when I'm sharing that with somebody.
Definitely.
But it's something you have to work out if it's stopping you from the success of whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
And we hear stories all the time about people, whether it's the fear of to keep trying. Well, we talked about at one point, Andrea, people applying for jobs. And if you were an employer hiring you, okay, would you hire you if you had the qualifications but didn't have the confidence when you went in for the interview versus the other person that has less experience, not as impressive resume, but has all the confidence that they will, and they show that they will do what it takes in order to be successful at the job. And if you're the one hiring and you have to look at you versus the other person, which one would you really hire?
Exactly. Like, who could you work with? Who do you see yourself having a better relationship with, or being able to train? And I hear that a lot. Are you teachable? Are you trainable? Even when you watch American Idol or The Voice, they always say they look for people that, and they always judge them the week, and they tell them things that they should have done or shouldn't do or work on. And they look to see in the following weeks if they apply those. So are they teachable? Are they trainable? And that's a big issue for them. If somebody's stubborn and thinks, no, this is who I am, this is how I sing, they won't last on the show very long.
I like the fact that you mentioned stubborn because we can all have a stubborn streak.
Exactly.
But it's like picking your battles. Pick when it's okay to be stubborn.
Right.
Because if you fight it, those people that are not improving, when they've gotten critiqued and have such valuable feedback from these experienced people, and they're not willing to change just because they're not going to get ahead the same way other people will.
Well, what's the old saying? It's like doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. Right. Not going to happen.
Right.
So you have to find out what it is, like we said before, that's holding you back. You have to know, you have to be teachable. You have to.
You got to be open.
You have to be open.
Yeah. If you're open and receptive. And so we also were talking about the fact that, trying to find out what you did wrong. So if you applied for a job and you didn't get it, then go to the boss after, the person who interviewed you, and say, listen, where did I go wrong? What could I have done differently? Just like in those shows, they're willingly giving the feedback to these
Yes.
people. When you go on a job interview, you don't always know why you didn't get picked.
That's right.
And it would be nice to know so that you can do those improvements in order to, make a better
Right.
impression next
Right.
time.
Like even the story that I said about my daughter in school when she was younger, and we thought she did an amazing project but didn't get the grade. So instead of being upset, and I just went to the teacher and I said, or I think I told my daughter to ask the teacher, what could I have done different? What did I miss? And she talked to her about it, and then we applied it the next time. But if you just say, oh, I did I thought I should have got more, and forget about it, you're going to do the same thing the
Yeah.
next project, and you're not going to improve.
So this brings me to a story. I've never really told this before, but I'm going to tell you.
Oh, some juicy.
So, well, what happened was, I'm always learning stuff. And there was an
Yes,
opportunity.
she is.
There was an opportunity in my other profession, that I could take this course. And it was the beginning. So it was your, what do they call that when it's the very first, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. It was the first course that they were giving. So they were trying to be a little bit more lenient because they wanted people to go through the process, and then you had to supply a case study, and they told you the format they wanted it in. And I thought, yeah, I don't like that format. And I didn't do it. I did it my own way. I felt all the details of what needed to be in the report, but I did it in my format. And so they said, because it's the first course, we're going to allow you a redo. So I could go and fix it and give it to them in the format that they wanted. And I refused to.
Linda.
I know. But you know why? Because I work in the real world, and I felt that this was so administrative that that's not really what happens in life. And I was working with this kind of stuff,
Right.
okay? Anyway, so I didn't end up qualifying in this pilot course, okay?
Geez.
And it's like winning. I like to win.
Yeah.
And I really had to take that rejection that they would not pass me based on the format
That you chose.
that I chose, even though all the answers and the information was there. Now, in the meantime, I gave my work to a colleague of mine. He took my work, put it in the format that was requested, and of course qualified.
Wow.
And yes, and so he got his certificate saying that he did this, and that's the thing. And I was going to say, when it comes to being stubborn, and someone's giving me the feedback and allowing me a redo, and I'm still rejecting it, that's on me.
Bad.
But
Yeah.
it was a lesson learned that it doesn't matter what I think; it's what they think. If they're the ones that are going to say, I'm going to say grading. In that particular,
that are the professionals in that field.
In that field,
that's what they want. So that's what
they want.
Yeah, that's what you
didn't
give
matter
them.
that it was. It's sometimes like government workers. They don't live in the real world, so sometimes I feel like they can't understand. I used to work for the federal government, and sometimes I think that they're a little bit more removed from reality.
Right.
It's easy to put the rule on, but in reality, it's not that easy
to apply.
Right, and so I just felt like these were being bureaucratic, and so they had their certain way, and that was it. You could not deviate. But I've learned if I really want, I have to play the game when it comes to something like that. Mm-hmm. So I didn't play the game. I was being stubborn. I had an opportunity to improve, and I chose not to. And yet my same material got used by my colleague, and all he did was change the format into their format, and he qualified. And I'm like, okay, well, But then on the other hand, you have to look at the positive. I like to look at the positive.
Yes.
So he has to pay dues to keep that, I'm going to say that credential going every year. And I don't really need that credential. So I save myself an annual fee. And I'm going to say that was what, in the big picture, I guess, why I didn't play along with their game.
Yeah, if it was something you absolutely needed
yes,
to further yourself, you would have done it.
Yeah.
And
You have to do it. It really, if that's the way it is.
You know what? I find it's like driving, okay? You go for your driver's test. You have to have 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock. You have to do single. You have to do, in order to pass. You cannot pass without doing all those little things that we don't do in real life driving. We all drive with one hand. Sometimes we single, sometimes we don't. But in order to get there, you have to play the game.
Yeah. And that's a really good analogy because it's true. You know, they have their certain things and they're testing you on that.
Yeah.
And so, but then, you know, it's like when you go to college and university, they teach you so many things. And if you want to pass the course, you have to know these things. But in reality, you know, you're not going to use most of those things.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know what? You just do it if that's important and you want to pass.
Yeah.
So sometimes it might be work related that you have to figure out what it's going to take to get that promotion.
Not be afraid.
Yeah, don't be afraid.
And don't be worried about them saying no.
Right, because what did that no teach you?
Yes.
And there was a gentleman that wrote a book, and actually, I'm just going to... The book is called Go for No. And you think, wow, why would anybody want to go for the no?
Yeah.
But when you're in sales, especially in sales, but even if you're just in the workplace applying for jobs, and you could be applying constantly and you keep hearing the word no, the fact is eventually, statistically, they got to say yes.
Yeah.
But you don't know what it's going to take until you figure out why you keep hearing the no's.
That's right.
And so it's worthwhile.
And it's up to you to figure it out.
Yes.
It's not up to somebody else or, you know, you have to, you know, I don't know what I want to say, but you have to figure out why you're getting rejected or not getting the marks. That's up to you. You have to put in the work.
And not only that, don't let the fear of what they say stop you from finding out that information because, again, like Andrea said, it's up to you. It's your life. And so it's within your control. Now, maybe you'll get the feedback and maybe you won't. We don't know. But the whole thing is that you have to try to figure out what you're doing wrong in order to get that step forward.
That's right.
It'll open new doors for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we've kind of done a lot on this topic. And so ladies, we are happy to be here every week, but we would like you to
like,
subscribe,
and share.
For sure, all of these episodes will have some lesson for somebody.
And it will impact somebody's life.
So do yourselves a favor, do your friends a favor, do us a favor.
Yeah.
Again, share, like, and subscribe. We'll see you next week.
Bye, ladies.